Hi, welcome to my session and in this very important day for the project management community, International Project Management Day, organized by IIL. I'm going to be talking about the Project Canvas, a tool that is already being used by many companies, and I think it will help you to get more engagement in your projects and more success. I hope you like it. I'm Antonio Nieto-Rodriguez. I'm HBR, Harvard Business Review author, thought leader. I'm professor, advisor, and I'm the past chairman of PMI and fellow. It's a pleasure to have you here. You have a bit of my bio here, so I don't need to go through it. I'm just very proud of being part of PMI and volunteer for many years. One thing that makes me a bit different, maybe of other thought leaders, is that I'm a practitioner as well. Like many of you, I'm struggling, I'm challenged, I'm excited about projects every day, and nowadays I'm leading a sustainability transformation, which is an amazing project. I'm also helping organizations around the world, as you can see. But one thing that I wanted to share, not the names, but here what is important is one of the most frequent questions I get today is, Antonio, can you, I just don't know how many projects we're running in our organization. And this comes from senior leaders. Before I get calls from project managers, 5 years ago was the PMOs. Today are senior leaders who understand the importance of projects and are struggling with that. They don't know how many projects they're doing. They want some advice on how they can do their projects better. Before we go into the project canvas, let me bring back a concept that I developed 4 or 5 years ago, which is the project economy, which certainly you've heard about that. You've experienced that as well, probably in the workplace. So let me just briefly recap on what I mean with the project economy. What you see in this slide is how a business, an organization, splits its works between operational activities, the business as usual, running the organization. You see that blue part there, and the projects and the change side. And for many decades, as you can see there on the years, the focus of most of organization has been on the operation, business as usual. If you've been in project management for the last 10, 15 years, you've experienced that, where you see, okay, projects are never the big priority, always the day-to-day, the short-term goals, the operational activities have been priority, right? But over years, we've become more efficient. We've introduced new concepts and new technologies like systems, ERP systems, outsourcing, where we are doing much better, more efficiently, the blue part. We need less resources, and I'm talking about the left side of this slide, to do the activities, to carry on the work. What happens over years is that more people get involved in projects, but the big disruption happens with two big factors. First, the introduction of robots and artificial intelligence. As you can see in the slides, they take over a massive chunk of operational activities. They don't take the projects, they take operational activities. So this is huge because there's a huge shift from type of work from operational work to project-based work. The other factor that explains this situation is that the life cycle of products is much shorter. Very few companies have products that last more than 10 years. This was the case some years ago, but now there's no product that lasts so long. So companies are constantly reinventing products and themselves. So that's what I call the project economy, the right side here. So the future of work, which is now, is project-based. That means that about 80% of the population, of the employees and managers and senior leaders are working project-based, agile teams. So this is fantastic. This is great for us, right? This is what we've been looking for many, many years. What are some of the disruptions that we're seeing with this major change into a project-based work? So the role of the chief operating officer, that's dead. Job descriptions are dead. The PMO, as we knew it from the past, also dead. Resource allocation, it's also a concept from the past that doesn't work. Prioritization and focus, when companies have hundreds and thousands of projects, becomes a high priority and it's a key skill. Project managers need to evolve as well. We need to develop new competencies if we want to be successful in this project economy, right? And one of them is delivering value, delivering benefits. I know today you're going to be seeing many presentations around delivering benefits and value, because that is the main thing that we need to do in our projects. New competencies, this is great. Before we were just training project managers or PMOs. Today, everyone needs to build project management competencies, everyone, which is great for us. And another big disruption, we realized that it's not waterfall or agile, it's both, right? So we've learned that too. So great news. The world is looking at projects. The future of work is project-based. We've never seen so many projects as what we'll see in the next decade. Yet, our success rate is very low. Project success, project performance is really poor, right? And I've been chairman of PMI, and I can say that if there's something that we need to improve in the project management world is success rate. We cannot have a 30 to 40% success ratio. It's just not acceptable anymore. So there's a lot to be done there. One of the things that I'm covering in this presentation, the project canvas, will help us to deliver projects more successful. If you've seen my work and previous videos, also with IIL interventions, I think that we need to disrupt project management, right? You cannot disrupt everything in the world, pharma, logistics, cars, and not disrupt project management. That doesn't make sense. We cannot keep doing the same things as we were doing before in these professions. I highlight 3 big changes. We need to change the way we look at projects and monitor their performance. This is about the triple constraints. We need to expand the project life cycle, and then the framework that we're going to cover in the project canvas. So I'm just going to go this very quickly. We have the triple constraints, which all of you know for sure: the scope, budget, time, and quality. We need to add 2 more concepts here. 2 other triple constraints, I call them. One on the benefits. We need to understand the value, the risk that we're taking, and the sustainability of the project over time, and then the people, how engaged they are, right? So far we've been looking at projects just with one leg. That's why so many projects fail. But if we add benefits, if we look at people and we make them engage, the projects will be more successful. Second, I'm going through this very quickly because I've published about this and I don't want to just go into details. I want to focus on the canvas, but this is essential to understand where we're going. So the traditional view of project management is what you see there, the project life cycle. We don't do much in innovation. Actually, we don't do anything. We do the initiation, the planning, the implementation, the closing. We don't do anything after the project is complete. And we talk briefly about benefits, but not so much. The new way of looking at projects is radically different. 80% is new. Okay, so when we talk about the project own event, we are all excited, but that means that we need to change a lot. So I think we should be playing a role in innovation, in ideation. We have this project life cycle that hopefully will be automated and will use artificial intelligence much more than what we do. Then we'll focus also sometimes on the run, but the biggest change is focus on the benefits, right? So that I talk about that and not just benefit, but how can we bring them earlier? Okay, so going to the point of the presentation, and I've been in this world for many years. I've been teaching project management for 20 years to senior leaders. One of the first things I come across is that the most successful management theories are super simple, right? You have the 5 forces of Michael Porter. This is what you want to analyze strategy. You don't need to be a PhD in strategy. Everybody understands this slide. Everybody can speak to this slide in a team discussion, in a strategic discussion. If I say, let's discuss marketing and marketing plans, you have the 7 P's of Kotler, right? Again, you don't need to be an expert in marketing to get your team to work on a first draft on marketing to get everybody in line. Same for Agile. Agile was very simple. It's not like a huge document. It just was a set of principles, right? And values. And with that and some tools and templates, they just started to work and very simple, right? But what is simple in project management? If I ask you, do you know any framework which is super simple that anybody can understand in your teams, your stakeholders, your sponsor? No, unfortunately, nothing is simple in project management. I'm not saying it's wrong. I'm just saying it's not simple. I think for experts like you and me, everybody on this day in this call, we understand, we love what we see in these documents, but 95% working in a project of the people don't want to learn this. They just want to do their projects right. Okay, so nothing is simple. So what leads to this lack of simplicity, over complexity, very complex and technical project management? We focus on process and templates. There's a tons of paperwork, and then people don't apply because, woof, what's the point? So that has been project management for the last 40 years, unfortunately, from the external perspective, right? If you look at the PM Bohawk, you see the number of pages of our really the book that we love, and it's a great resource, but just for us, 756 pages, sixth edition. The seventh edition, I'm very happy because it's half of that. Still more than 350 pages, but anyway, this makes this topic just impossible for others outside project management. So I got inspired by two good friends, Alex Osterwalder and Yves Pigneur, who I've met in many conferences. And I say, wait, hey, these two people have a framework to understand business, which is just one page. And it has been used by 5 million people, the business model canvas. And I was looking at this, I use it, I say, oh, how simple it is. And you can look at the business model. So based on that and reflecting, how can I simplify project management? I said, well, let's develop a project canvas. And I have the pleasure to know Alex and Yves. So I had some discussions with them and feedback. So basically, that's how we come through to the project canvas. And the idea is just to have something very simple. Simple that in half an hour, everybody can understand. Everybody can use it. Of course, you're not going to be able to do a good, realistic timeline for your project, but at least you'll get alignment around the project. So this is the project canvas, which is divided in 4 dimensions. So there's the why. Why are we doing the project? We have, of course, the business case for sure, but then I've added, and I'm a big believer on the purpose in projects. I think I'm one of the first one who brought the purpose into project management. This is years ago because I thought that people don't get passionate when on a business case. People don't get excited to work in a project that has a 15% return on investment. No, we get excited when the project has a purpose, when we want to reduce use of plastic, reduce carbon footprint, make our company more exciting, right? The second dimension is the who, the executive sponsor and the governance. Why? Because the executive sponsor in important projects, it's a key success factor. Most of them are not prepared. They don't have the competencies. So our role as project managers is to make sure executive sponsor know what they have to do in their projects and what we need them for. Okay, so the governance, the accountability is the second dimension. The third dimension is the what, the how, and when. What you see there in these building blocks is things that you will recognize immediately, right? The scope, the time, the cost, triple constraint, quality, risk, procurement, HR, stakeholders. And I didn't call it communication. I think today's with the amount of change that we're all experiencing, communication plan is not enough. With the amount of change that we are seeing today, the amount of projects, we need to do more change management. And the fourth dimension is the where, is the organization, the culture. How are you structured? How many projects do you have? How priority is your project? So that has a big influence on your project success too. If you have this, and we're going to go quickly through each of the boxes just for understanding, but you know that, but just a basic example on each of them. If you know that, then your project is very well founded. You have the foundations and you will be able to be more successful with your projects. So let me just quickly go through each of them. The rationale, the business case, this is just very standard already. The rationale, I mean, okay, we need to understand the business case. not just having the financials. The problem with business cases, and we know that, they all look great, right? Have you ever seen a business case which is bad? No, people don't show it. So instead, I think my view is that out of 10 business cases for projects, only one should succeed. What happens today is 9 succeed and maybe one is not done. So I think business case is good. We need to understand as project managers more the financial benefits, but you often see projects where the business case looked great and then afterwards it just was a disaster that leads to project failure. Okay, an example here: International Space Station, amazing numbers, right? It was estimated 7 billion. It's gone for 150 billion. So this is one of the, in terms of estimation, most costly project ever. The purpose and passion, this is one of the things that you need to work out. This is the thing that if you want to see a big change in your project, think about the purpose of your project, right? And it's just very simple. It's asking, why are we doing the project? You might be setting up an HR system, right? But why do we have this HR system? Maybe because of some social media functionality for the employees to chat and why do we need that social media? Because then employees will be more engaged in our company. They will be happier to work on our company. So you see, we're moving from an HR system to a project that will increase engagement of our employees. So, and one amazing project, if you are into large macro projects, I love them. This is one in Brazil, in Curitiba. It's one of the greenest cities in the world. And it started with a lot of reaction, but the purpose was so strong. Who doesn't want to build the greenest city in the world, right? So this is a great example if you want to research a bit more. The who, it's the executive sponsor and the governance. So nothing that you don't know, but I think the executive sponsor for me is, I've been in projects for maybe 25 years. Maybe you recognize this. You start a project, you have a very senior sponsor, you maybe have a quick chat, I'm happy to do this project with you, and then you never see them. And you think for yourself, oh, I hope I can meet the sponsor. I hope the sponsor will learn project management, will go for a training, will make time. And then they never have time. They never go for a training. So when I teach project management, this modern version, I say, one of the first things you need to do is pick the sponsor. Tell them, hey, sponsor, let me tell you what I need from you. I don't care if you're the CEO, right? And you can tell it nicely. I respect who you are, but for my project, I need you to do this. I need to be able to meet you every 2 weeks for half an hour. I need that you chair the steering committee. If I have a big urgency, I should be able to reach you immediately. Okay, so this is something that you need to be proactive. A great example of one of the best sponsors, Steve Jobs. And I'll come back to this one later on, but he was spending 2 days per week on the creation of the first iPhone. 2 days per week. Imagine, when was the last CEO that you saw in a project? They spent 2 days per week in your projects? No. Governance is just who does what, and I think that's very important to put into place. Dimension what, how, and when. I'm going to go very quickly. I think the scope, we all know that it's the fundamental basis to create accurate estimates on time, on budget. The time, for me, it's also a key factor. That's why it's important to have that. I love projects research, and you always wonder why there are some projects that are always on time, right? Olympic Games. They choose them 15 years in advance or so, and they just nail the date, right? They just cannot miss it. I don't know, for some of you, this is a bit more funny, but weddings, right? I've been researching weddings. Why weddings are never late? And you plan them 9 months in advance, 12 months in advance. There are some countries that plan the wedding in 1 day. Perfect. But then why so many projects at work are late, right? Why most of the projects at work are late? So that external commitment, when you announce your deadline to your stakeholders, to your customers, to your regulators, to your partners, to your friends, that commitment, that deadlines becomes much more powerful. Okay, just I have tips and tricks for all these things after so many years in research. The cost, of course, is something that we want to watch, and it's not something that we're great at, cost management, benefit management, but absolutely an important aspect and important to manage your stakeholders. This is another great example of a bad cost estimate in Montreal Olympic Games, the big O, and it just cost unbelievable, much more than expected. The quality, of course, never forget the quality. Google Glass is a bad example, launched in 2014, closed the project a year after. So they didn't do quality. They forgot. They were doing quality with the customers. How can you do that, right? So a poor risk management, obviously a very important dimension for us. We need to think about it. I think, I don't know if you've seen this series, but or read about this project, but what a disaster. They really didn't think about risk management at all. And it created really a lot of frustration. And it's a nice project to understand how not to do projects, right? How to oversell the benefits of a project and then don't deliver anything, unfortunately. Procurement, I think this is a topic which is not the most exciting one to work on, but it is fundamental, especially in large projects where you have many contractors. A great example, the one in Sochi, they had 9,500 purchase orders. Imagine. So if you don't think this through, if you don't put the process, if you don't put the competencies, if you don't put the system, that's not going to work. So procurement nowadays, where we have so many contractors and consultants and freelancers, is very important for us to manage or have somebody to watch out and monitor in your big projects. HR, I love this because it's about creating high-performing teams. This picture here is about the project called the First Man on the Moon. Remember, going to the moon, and John F. Kennedy mentioning that we're going to be the first country to put the first human on the space. This is 1962, and he said by the end of the 60s. So that project, that vision that John F. Kennedy had to bring the first human to the moon by the end of the 60s, created a huge project around from NASA and many partners. And in 1967, the press goes to the NASA to see how are we doing, because we are not confident we're going to make it. There's just 2 years to go, and we don't see how we're going to make it to the moon. So the journalists spend the whole day in the NASA interviewing the president, the chairman, everyone. At the end of the day, what they do is they walk through a computer lab and they see this person. This is about 20 journalists, and they ask him, "What's your name?" And he says, "My name is Michael Gonzalez. I'm from Mexico." And they ask him, "What are you doing here so late?" And he says to the press, "I'm helping to put the first man on the moon." He was cleaning the labs, but he didn't care, because with cleaning and his work, the researchers and scientific people will come the day after and do their job better because they found a nice place to work. So Michael was proud. Michael was saying to all his family, all his friends, that he is helping to put the first man on the moon. That was his project. When you get that level of engagement from your project members, when they say, "I'm helping to make our company greener. I'm helping to make our company the best in the world, best services in the world, help children around the world." When people talk about that in their projects, you will be high performing. You will be achieving lots of dreams. When they say, "I'm just cleaning the floor, I'm just making that process," that's not the high engagement. So remember, Michael Gonzalez, "I'm helping to put the first man on the moon." Stakeholders, obviously, we need to keep them engaged. Another amazing project, this one in Chile, August 2010. There's been many things written about. I wrote about this, but how can everybody be engaged around the project, get 100% buy-in? This happened in this project, and this is how they save the 33 miners in Chile. Great project. One of my favorites from the thousands I've researched. And the last one is change management. Change management, like I was saying, we were talking about communication for many decades. It was part of the training, part of the PMBOK. I think communication plan is not enough. We need to go beyond that. We need to think a bit about change management, adoption of the new structure, the new business, the new organization, the new tools and competencies. So I think as project managers, we need to go beyond just purely communication. And I love this another project. These are gems that I find, but I don't know if you knew, but in Stockholm, in Sweden, they were driving like in the UK, which is very unusual for a European continental country. All of them were driving on the right, but somehow Sweden started to drive on the left. So imagine in your country, suddenly from one day to another, everything, the systems, the red lights, everything had to change to from one side to the other. So this was perfection in terms of change management, communication. Everybody contributed. It just happened in a few hours overnight on the day you see there. And I love this type of project because it gets everybody excited about this change. So maybe you knew it, maybe you didn't know it. Call it the H Day in Stockholm in 1967. And the last part, I'm coming to the end of the canvas, and I'll wrap it up with a couple of examples. But the where is the organization. And if you are in a very slow organization where projects are not prioritized, where operations, remember the blue part, when I started talking into operations versus change, it's a big priority, too many projects, it's a disaster. So we need to understand how we can influence the structure, the culture, so that we can do our projects better. So I want to just give you one example on the project canvas, how to put it in practice. So let's go back to the full canvas with the 4 dimension and the 14 building blocks. And I'm going to explain how the project Purple, the first iPhone, was developed. So the first project, the idea of developing an iPhone or a smartphone was presented to Steve Jobs in 2001. And Steve Jobs said, amazing idea. Yes, this is a huge market, phone, telecom, we should be there. But we're not launching a project. No, we have to focus on the iTunes and the iPod. That's our priority. That's where I want my best teams, myself too. That's what we need to focus. But we're now launching the project, but I'm setting up a small team, a task force, to learn about telephones, to learn about telecommunications, to start building some knowledge about the technology that can go, right? And to talk to other partners and vendors and come up with some prototypes. Only in 2004, so 3 years after the idea was presented, Steve Jobs said, we're launching the project. The project was finished in 2007. The product, the new iPhone, was launched in 2007 in June. So it took them about 2.5 years to develop the project, 3 years on the ideation. That's why I think we should be understanding what happens there. But just let me tell you some of the highlights. So if we use each of the boxes as a color, like red, amber, and green, the project Purple is all green. Yeah, and this assessment is done before the project is finished. We could see that the chances of succeeding this project were really high. So a couple of things. Big purpose of this project. It was not about return on investment. Yes, obviously, benefits, profits were huge, but people working in this project would join it because they wanted to disrupt the smartphone industry. They wanted to create something new. They wanted to make technology easy for everyone. Another point, Steve Jobs, 2 days per week working on this. And they asked him, how can you spend so much time on a project? Well, This is the future of Apple. Why should I not spend 2 days per week on the future of Apple? Projects are the future of organizations. When I talk to CEO, how much time do you spend in the future of your company, in your projects? Well, maybe 1 hour per week. I say, how is that possible? Your future is your project. Spend time on them. Really make sure they get resource and deliver. Steve Jobs, great example. Fixed deadline, you see that there on the timeline. It was announced in January 27, 2007, released in June 2007. Best team. This is something that it's another great example from this project. Is they choose the best people in Apple and they say, right, you want to join? Then you're joining us from tomorrow. Forget about your day-to-day job. And they were saying, who's going to do my operational work? They were saying, don't worry, anybody can do that. We'll put your deputy, we'll develop them, but you are the best. I want you full-time in this project for the next 2.5 years. And this is amazing because most of the company put their people part-time, right? 10%, 20%. You have 3 projects at the same time plus. So I'm very tough when I talk to senior leaders, say, how come you cannot free up resources for the most important project in your organization? And then the last part I want to highlight is the where. It was obviously a high priority project with top resources and all the support from senior leaders, including the CEO. So this is a green project. And just 2 more to finish my presentation. On the top, it's an analysis of a project called healthcare.gov, a website that was developed in 2013 with the launch of this Obamacare. And you can see the project didn't work very well. When they opened in October 1st, the website collapsed. This analysis that you see on the top was done before. So you can predict project failure. Thanks to the project canvas, if there's more, it's 6, 7 red boxes in your canvas, that project will fail 100%, right? If we don't take action and your project is like the one you see there, it's going to fail 100% sure, okay? So you as a project leader, we need to step up and say, listen, we need a sponsor. We need to clear the governance. We need to do risk management. We need to prioritize our project. Okay, that's what I want when you look at your projects through the canvas. The bottom one is a bit more recent, but was how Moderna and Pfizer developed the COVID vaccine. Obviously, the green project, really strong foundations. They had all the 14 elements really well covered from the beginning. You cannot guarantee 100% success in projects. You can't guarantee failure. Yeah, you can't predict failure. But if you have the 14 elements in order, well defined, everybody understands, then the chances will just skyrocket. You want to build your projects like the one on the bottom, right? And that will help you a lot. I will help your company a lot. And really, it's just very simple to use. That's the other good thing. So that's my presentation. I have here just a summary of the benefits of the project canvas. Really easy to apply. In an hour, anybody can use it. It's not that you can do a good plan or risk management, but at least understand, like the business model canvas, like the 5 forces, okay? Focus on the project fundamentals, yeah? Very simple. If we address those, great. Identifies the weak and the strong areas, yeah? All the red ones, we need to address them. We cannot leave them like that. But the green ones, this is great. It's just very easy to dialogue. You don't focus on a 30-page report, right? That we were doing for years, 30, 40 pages of report that nobody reads. This is just 1-pager, and we focus on dialogue. We focus on the issues that matter. It's not bureaucracy. And last, it creates alignment. It's just everybody will understand your project. Everybody will be able to contribute. And I always recommend when you do the project canvas is get the key stakeholders. Don't just do it with your team. Bring the sponsor, bring some stakeholders, maybe some clients or vendors, and do that exercise together. The alignment, the buy-in is so strong because everybody will understand, will contribute. It's not the same as contributed to a project charter. We're looking at the big picture, and that will really help you a lot. So that's kind of the project canvas, the benefits. I have a couple of slides where you can find more information about me. So the canvas is for free. I don't charge for it. You can download. I think we want to do our profession better. We want to get better results. Absolutely. There is my LinkedIn newsletter. You can just sign up. There's my company, the Book of Harvard, if you are interested in getting more details. There's two credentials if you want to get a little badge or about the project canvas or strategy implementation. And there's 3 or 4 trainings in LinkedIn Learning. It's just 60 minutes, 45 minutes, one on the project canvas. So if you want to go a bit deeper on all this, you can just go there. The same, probably your company has access for it for free. I think that's what really matters. And then you can get the badge if you want. And that's all. Thank you really a lot for following, for listening, for these last 45 minutes. I hope you enjoy that. I hope you start using this tool. I'm sure, almost certain, it will make a difference in your projects, in your career, in your company. And you have the details here if you want to reach out. I'll pleasure to connect. Looking forward also to see how you use the canvas in your projects. Thank you, IIL, for organizing this. You've done so much for the profession, so it's always a pleasure to collaborate with IIL and the amazing team. Yeah, looking forward. Take care, stay well. Good luck with your projects and all the best in the project economy. Hasta la vista.